Okay, so we've gone into a little bit about what work-life balance is and why it is important. Um, I think we can all agree that there are negative effects to not having a healthy work-life balance in your life. Having a poor or non-existent work-life balance can cause extreme and, quite frankly, unhealthy amounts of stress. There are many causes related to an individual having a poor or non-existent work-life balance. Some people have reported it has to do with the amount of money that they make, salary, or overtime, as to being one of the top reasons why they have to put so much more focus onto their work life and thereby, unfortunately, neglecting their home life. It comes down to money. They have to go to work, they have to make money, they can't take the time off, so on and so forth. So we'll get into some of that later, but so salary, sometimes with that is, it's based off getting promoted, therefore taking on more responsibility at work. All of those things can pull an individual more into their work life and focusing more of their attention and efforts into their work life, which takes it away from their home life or their personal life. And, that can have devastating consequences, not just on the home life, but also the work life. Sometimes we get caught up thinking, just do a few more hours, put in some more time to get this done. And in reality, burnout is a real thing. You can love your job all day long and you can make a bunch of money and things are great, but if you don't have balance between your personal life and your work life is inevitably eventually going to suffer. You are going to miss a deadline, forget about an important meeting, a project coming up, because you are just burnt out. Your mental health is affected when you don't have the balance needed between working and living, quite frankly. So let's talk about creating a happy balance. So creating a happy balance within your work and personal life and time, you need to look at what's causing the imbalance. What are the reasons why you're being pulled more into your work life, therefore having to neglect some of the home life? So if you can kind of narrow down those causes, or help, if you're helping someone with this issue, help someone narrow down those causes, well, then you've got something that you can work with. You have a problem that you can solve. So that's definitely the first step, is figuring out what it is that's pulling a person more into work. It could be that the organization or company they work for is understaffed, or the totality of their job duties are too much. There is just not enough hours in the day to complete this number of tasks. So, that is a crucial factor, is finding out what the root cause is, and then you can work from there to create a healthy balance. Employees who lack work and home life balances experience, like I stated earlier, a very unhealthy amount of stress, which can contribute to more conflicts in your home life, whether it be with your family, your spouse, children. You're missing important milestones, anniversaries, games, award ceremonies, for children. There's just a number of things that fall to the wayside if you don't have that balance that you need. So, with the family conflicts, the relationship issues, that can obviously, the negative effects leading into divorce and, like I said, missing the milestones, getting divorced, just not being there, not fulfilling your responsibilities that you have at home. And if you have no work-life balance, that can lead, again, we talked burnout, exhaustion, fatigue. Those are all symptoms, physical symptoms, and stress being a very important symptom to pay attention to, because stress can lead to more serious matters such as stroke, heart attacks, cardiovascular disease. So taking care of yourself within your work life is very important, because without that balance, it can have negative effects on your personal health. and we certainly don't want that. So that's your physical health, and then we talk about a little bit about your mental health. Reducing that stress is so beneficial for your mental health. Preventing burnout, reducing your stress in your professional life, if you can find those causes that we were discussing earlier, and get to those root issues, to free up some time and get a little bit more balanced between the two lives. Essentially, you're trying to blend two lives into one, and it's very difficult, but it can be done. And we'll discuss some techniques, some stress relief techniques, and meditation, yoga, things like that we'll get into later on. But it's just one of those things I think organizations maybe don't realize how important it is. I think we're starting to. The conversation has certainly been started. It's being talked about, which is a big thing, that this is important, that this not only is beneficial for our employees, in an era where retaining employees is extremely important, and mental health all on its own is important, and that's being talked about more widely, and there's not as many stigmas, I think, attached to that. So it's becoming more socially acceptable to talk about, publicly, and I think that's fantastic. But I think organizations, as we're just now starting to talk about it, are finally seeing that, hey, there's something to this. You take employee A, and they have a balanced work life and home life, and they have fantastic performance evaluations and reviews, and then you could have employee B who's suffering with creating that balance, and because of that, they're seeing, not surprisingly, that their work performance also suffers. So, all the things are intertwined, and I think it's important that we're not talking about it. It's becoming a conversation, and that organizations are taking part of it as well. So, thank you.